like to welcome everybody to the 2015 January 14th City of Rapid City Legal and Finance Committee. The first order of business is the roll call and determination of a quorum. Here. Thank you. Up next is the adoption of the agenda. Any items to add or adopt to remove from the agenda? Don't we have 3 addendums? So just in case somebody hasn't, it's not in the hard copy, there's 3 addendums to the agenda at this point. So, entertain a motion to adopt.
So moved. Second.
Motion by Laurenti, second by Nordstrom. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. General public comment. Now is the time for members of the public to discuss or express concerns to the council on any issue not currently on the agenda. Action will not be taken at the meeting on any issue not on the agenda, except for placement on the agenda by the unanimous vote of the council members present. I currently have no speaker request forms for general public comment. Anybody wish to speak on anything not on the agenda? Okay, move on to consent items numbers 1 through 9. Excuse me, I need my glasses. I'm going to open public comment on items 1 through 9. I currently have no speaker request forms on items 1 through 9. Does anybody wish to speak on any of those items? Not appearing. I'm going to close public comment on items 1 through 9. Now I'll move to council members to see if there's anybody who wants to remove anything from the agenda from items 1 through 9 from consent calendar. I have no lights. Entertain a motion to approve the balance.
So moved.
Motion by Laurenti, second by Nordstrom to approve items 1 through 9. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. We're now on to non-consent items, numbers 10 through 13. I have one speaker request form for item number 10. Item number 10, but I assume you want to speak during your time, ma'am. Is that correct? Okay, so I have no other speaker request forms for those items. Anybody wish to speak on those items? Not appearing. I'm going to close public comment on items, non-consent items 10 through 13. And I will go, item number 10 is Human Relations Commission semi-annual update. Go to Ms. Sue Timmons. If you'd please approach the podium, ma'am. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Good afternoon. You have a report attached to the agenda. I'm sure you had a chance to look at it or will have a chance. I'm going to summarize. Since the last reporting period, which was in July, we've had 2 verified complaints of discrimination. And a verified complaint is defined as one where the individual alleging the unlawful discrimination is a member of a protected class, and they have sworn in an affidavit that, to the best of his or her knowledge, that the information they provided and their belief, and they believe that the information they've supplied is correct. So the first complaint was filed on September 11th, 2014, and at the request of the respondent, the file was transferred to the State Division of Human Rights. The second complaint was filed just recently, December 30th, 2014. And the respondent has been notified, and they have 30 days to respond. So we're awaiting that response. There have been other contacts with the City Attorney's Office regarding complaints. One decided to postpone filing, and another one was a complaint of discrimination filed against another governmental body, and we don't have jurisdiction under our ordinance. Since the last reporting period, we have 2 commissioners who've resigned at the end of their term, and we have welcomed 2 new commissioners, Merton Tice and Andy Ainsley. And I just wanted to take this time to just thank Wayne Gilbert and Michael Goodroad for serving the time that they did. We also had an election of officers in November. I am now chairing the commission. Andy Ainsley is vice chair, and Jamie L. Hodge is our administrative officer. One of the big projects that we've undertaken since the ordinance was revised is the drafting of a handbook for the use of the commissioners. And we did this because actually since the ordinance was revised, we've had 3 new commissioners join. And we, at that time, with the revision, we pledged that there was going to be training and that this handbook would be done. It's now completed. It's over 75 pages, and it's very specific on the roles and responsibilities, the duties as far as confidentiality, conflict of interest, communication policies, It also includes a section on the law, and it's quite detailed. And this is an ongoing process. Recently, the commissioners asked for guidance on what to do if they are approached by media, or what to do when they are asked to make comments in public. So a communications policy was developed and devised in coordination with the city attorney's office, Wade Nyberg, and our new communications coordinator. So that takes us up to the training, which we also promised, and there has been training on the new procedures since the ordinance was revised. There's been training on the screening standard for potential complaints. We've had also training on confidentiality, conflict of interest, and ex parte communications responsibilities, due process, and of course, quite a discussion on communication. We also had an attorney provide an in-service on employment discrimination law. That one was recorded, and the videos of that training are available to new commissioners, and it's included in the handbook. On public education and outreach, we have provided recently interviews to KOTA TV, Native Sun News. Members are also going to be asked to develop an outreach and education plan for 2015. We are consulting with Tim Riley at Mid-Continent Communications regarding our public service announcement. And in addition, we are looking at updating our site on the city website to be more user-friendly. And that about wraps it up. If there are any questions, I'd be happy to answer.
Thank you, ma'am. And entertain a motion to acknowledge.
So moved.
Motion by Laurenti, second by Nordstrom to acknowledge. And any further discussion? Chair recognizes Richie Nordstrom.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Sue, thank you very much for taking on this. It's not going to be easy, so it is a little time-consuming, so thank you for doing that. And I know Judge Tice likes to be called Mert, so Mert, thank you for volunteering to take over on that commission seat on that. With the expertise and the knowledge that I see on the commission now, I look forward to seeing some good things taking place on this. And I know we've had some recent events take place within the city of Rapid City, and I don't know all the details about the one specific case that was filed against another government entity, but I understand how that process works, and it's not allowed under that. And making that word known back to the community that did file that complaint, hopefully they understand how that process works and how that is explained to them. Do you have that as part of your training as well?
Yes, and when somebody approaches a commissioner, we generally want to refer them to the city attorney's office. And even though a complaint may not rise to the level of unlawful discrimination, the parties are still advised and referred. And if it's not, even if it's not in one of the categories that fall under the ordinance or state civil rights law, we try to refer them to an agency or a department that can help them. And that happens frequently. There are contacts that may not be in our statistics, but they have been referred on to the appropriate place.
Very good. Thank you. I'll yield the floor.
Motion is to acknowledge. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank
you for your
you.
service. Thank you, Judge. I'll see you at the next birthday party for your granddaughter, excuse me. Up next, we're going into item number 11, introduction and first reading of ordinance 6030 regarding supplemental appropriation number 1 for 2015.
Move to approve.
Motion approved by Laurenti, second by Dr. Nordstrom. Any further, you have the floor?
Yep, if I may.
Chair recognizes Richie Nordstrom.
If I can pull up my notes here. If I can ask the finance director a couple of questions.
Sure.
Pauline, can you kind of provide us a summary of what this supplemental number 1 is about and how the process works on that?
This item is actually a companion item to, let me pull up the other one. It's the encumbrance one under the number 6 under consent items. At the end of every year, we are in process of either purchasing stuff, receiving product, under contract for items, and both of these together will wrap up the budget authority needed in the next year to continue with those purchases that are in the process of being made at the previous end of the year. So depending on where they're at in the process, they're either in the encumbrance resolution or they are in the supplemental appropriation ordinance, just to make sure that we have the budget authority then to actually pay for those items in the current year. So it's typical, it's an annual thing. You will see it every year, as far as I know. Do you want more specific detail, or?
Maybe this next question will help me with what direction I'm going to go. It has to do with the budgeting process, and last summer when we did the budgeting, setting up for it, do we factor in those end of the year expenses into the budget, and so there is a provision allowed for the carryover? Maybe get a little more explanation on how that process, how it works.
In some cases, they are budgeted during our annual budgeting process, but there are some cases where they've been supplemented through the year, budgeted through a supplemental appropriation. They have to have the money already budgeted last year, so like at the end of 2014, to be able to be included in this encumbrance and this ordinance for 2015. Now, do we sit and try to contemplate how many things will be in progress purchasing-wise at the end of the year? No. That would be impossible to tell, just depending on what's going on in each of the departments. But they have been, what happens here is basically they end up being budgeted in both years.
Very good. Thank you. And then the last question I have, I don't know if you have all the answer yet for this, but on the unencumbered cash on it, this supplemental comes out of the unencumbered cash.
Correct.
Have you got a balance on that unencumbered cash?
That will actually be on the next report, showing, if I remember correctly, there's about $15 million cash balance in the general fund. I can't tell you the rest of them, but that report will come the next Legal and Finance Committee meeting, because I still need to figure out the new reserve, which is roughly about 7.2 million. So we still have about 8 million of undesignated cash, both for the budget that was already approved and then the supplement would come out of that.
Understand. Thank you for your explanation. I'll yield the floor.
Chair recognizes Darla Drew. Oh, sorry. Darla, you're not looking so good these days.
Thank you, Chair, for that, and I appreciate that. I respect her highly, so I'll take that as a compliment. I just wanted to say one last thing on this item and let the public know that if they do have internet access, there's a very good summary on this supplemental. I know there's been some confusion, whether intentional or not, about supplementals, which we have, I think, every year I've been on the council for items that were obligated in the previous budget year. They are not in addition to the budget that we had. They aren't, because I wish we had millions of dollars sitting around that we haven't committed to something. But the fact of the matter is there's a very good summary explanation on this agenda item for the public to see if they do have internet access. So thank you.
Okay, I have a motion to approve. Any further discussion?
So moved.
Rudy, thank you for affirming your motion. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. And item number 12 is authorize mayor and finance officer to sign indenture of restrictive covenants for fiscal year 2014 Community Development Block Grant contract for the Cornerstone Rescue Mission. Boy, I really need to get some glasses.
Move to approve. Second.
Motion to approve by Mr. Laurenti, second by Nordstrom, second by Laurenti. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Item number 13, authorize mayor and finance officer to sign memorandum of understanding between City of Rapid City Fire Department and Springbrook Acres Water Users Association for entry onto project for fuel treatment for wildfire mitigation, excuse me. Motion by Laurenti, second by Nordstrom. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. And addendum number 3, fire departments. Authorize mayor and finance officer to sign real property purchase agreement between the City of Rapid City and Elkvale Business Park LLC for Catherine Avenue property. Motion approved by Laurenti, second by Wyffenbach. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Motion by Laurenti, second by everybody. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. We're adjourned.